On Friday, 28 February, they did issue a release, and the heading is Joint Efforts Continue in Locating Divers. And this is how it starts off. It says joint efforts continue to locate 4 or 5 divers employed by LMCS Limited who were involved in an incident on Friday night. So for starters, they are acknowledging that there was an incident on Friday night while working on a 30-inch pipeline located at number 36 Sea Line Riser. And why is that important? Their very opening shows, this is their press release. This is not the media carrying this. This is not the UNC carrying this. This is the press release of Paria. And from the very outset, they are indicating that they are talking about an incident of Friday night. Then they come in a second paragraph and listen to what they say. At around 2:30 p.m. on Friday, 25th February, divers were still in the LMCS hyperbaric chamber or diving bell. So you see that they put out a release for putting out sake, but they are not careful with the details, and one has to ask why. Are they just reckless with the details? Or is it that really the persons who are in charge, really there was a time lag between what was taking place and what they were coming into knowledge of? Then they come in a third paragraph and they say immediately upon learning of the incident. So one must ask, and this is why we have been asking questions. One has to ask, what incident are they talking about? What time frame are they talking about? And I will get to their release of today to show you what time frame they are looking at. Again, it shows a lot of inconsistencies. They say, and this is of note, we have been working closely with Paria from the beginning of the incident to reach our divers. And then they state in another paragraph, in collaboration with the state emergency response services, including the Coast Guard and the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, as well as the Paria Incident Management Team and various subject matter experts, we are in the final stages of formulating the next attempt. And this is a quote of Paria's chairman, Mr. Newman George. So I am saying this because I'm asking you to follow the inconsistencies that are most apparent on a singular press release issued by Paria on February 28th. Now, we come to the press release of today's date. And it says, for immediate release. Mind you, the release before, which ought to have been contemporaneous with what was taking place on that, most tragic weekend. Now they come on today, the 7th of March. They're saying for the first time, media release. It says for immediate release. And this is what they have to say. They make reference of the families, the names, and those divers who are now deceased. But at the second paragraph, they say, understandably, there has been much said about this incident. Well, I want to start off by telling Paria, much has been said about this incident because you were saying absolutely nothing about the incident. Unfortunately, and I go on, unfortunately, the majority of what has been said with respect to the role of Paria is not only inaccurate but also unjust. So they come out now, no time before to say all of these things. Today, 7th of March, they're saying that what has been said before is unjust. It is Paria's considered view that it was not appropriate at any time prior to engage in any discourse which would unnecessarily distract from this tragedy and its impact on the families involved. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. We have been asking for transparency and accountability, a timeline of events so that we would have known that all that could possibly be done would be done. Paria goes on. However, and this is important that they bold this part of the release, and listen to what it says. However, given the decision by LMCS for those who have not been following the acronyms, that is the immediate employer of the divers. However, given the decision by LMCS to issue what can only be described as an unfortunate release, Paria is now compelled to provide clarity on certain issues. So today, for the first time, because LMCS, the immediate employer, has chosen to put out a release, a press release about what has been taking place, Paria suddenly finds its voice and they make it clear that they are responding to LMCS. So that is what this is about. So what did they think? Did they expect that LMCS would not say absolutely nothing at all? Did they think that LMCS would have remained quiet? Is it that they felt that it would have been something hush-hush as they went down the road, merrily down the road, and people's lives have been lost and families have been destroyed? So now, because LMCS has put out something, Paria goes on. Since June 2021, it says it has been engaged in a maintenance project with respect to a 30-inch pipeline. So now you're hearing for the first time from Paria, what is this pipeline about, what is the area about, and what has been taking place even prior to the incident. Again, I point out, we had to wait more than a week before they put out something like this. So they make this bold statement that having regard to the fact that that area around the pipeline had been inactive, nothing could have been switched on or activated by Paria. Now, why does Paria see the need to say that at this point in time? According to them, and they just told you that if it is, they saw it fit before that, there will be an investigation and they didn't want to distract. But why are you seeing it fit all of a sudden to say that that area was inactive, and now you're saying that because of that, nothing could have been switched on or activated by Paria in relation to the pipeline? So I'm asking you to look at a statement given today which is not contemporaneous with respect to what has transpired on that weekend when the men lost their lives, but only because LMCS has put out a statement, they are coming now. Is this plugging the gaps? What really is this about? Then, listen to what they go on. Friday's incident occurred at around 2:45 p.m. I just told you on the 28th of February, they said an incident occurred in the night, Friday night. And in that same statement, they talk about 2:30 p.m. And now they're coming here to say 2:45 p.m. Now, one will say, well, what is the difference? Why Rambally making all this fuss about 2:30 and 2:45 on Friday night? But 15 minutes difference could have saved these people's lives. Seconds could have saved these people's lives. And they are treating with this very lightly. They go on. Upon being notified of the incident by LMCS, Paria immediately activated its incident management team. Well, that is the first statement that I see common in this statement of 7th of March today with that of the 28th of February. That's the first sentence that I've seen common. They go on. Paria also contacted emergency response organizations, including the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, Occupational Safety and Health Agency, OSH, and the Southwest Regional Health Authority. Dive support operators, Mitchell's Professional Diving Services Company Limited and Offshore Technology Solution Limited were also contacted. We are now hearing this for the first time. Further assistance was sought from the Eastern Divers Company Limited. The external service providers arrived at various times on Friday evening to assist with the rescue effort. So if you are putting out a statement today and you are giving this kind of detail, why don't you tell us exactly what times these particular agencies did arrive to assist with any rescue effort? Why not say that? The commercial diver operations survivor from Heritage Petroleum Company Limited was also on site to support the incident command team. Paria was informed by the owner of LMCS, so they are talking about the owner of the company, that the company would notify the families of its 5 employees. And listen to what it says here now. As part of its emergency response plan, LMCS launched a search and rescue operation. So on the 28th of February, it was a joint mission. And now all of a sudden they're saying that as part of its emergency response plan. So they're basically saying, well, LMCS was the one in charge of that. Now, then they go on to talk about approximately 3 hours after the start of the rescue operation, what took place. And I want to tell you what is instructive here because time does not permit me to read the whole thing. What is instructive is they say that Mr. Budram, he somehow surfaced at the top of the pipeline. So they don't even give credence to Kurban, who went down there despite, braving the risk and going there to rescue. Paria doing absolutely nothing. Kurban go down there and save this man, and they have the gall to come and tell you in this release. For the first time, they have given this kind of detail, and conveniently they're saying Christopher Budram, the lone survivor, he surfaced, and he was then pulled out by passers-by. I want to tell you that what they go on to say here is that they basically contemplate, and this is what is instructive. Mr. Kurban later contemplated other entries which would have involved him proceeding further into the pipeline. It was determined by Paria. Remember, Kurban is the one who went in and saved that Budram, that lone survivor. When Budram came out, the first thing, he doesn't know whether he's coming or he's going. He now come out of a chamber where he cannot have air. Nothing at all, no light. He has now come out, and the first thing he could say, and only thing he says, is go back down there. Your father was the one who was pushing me up and helping me to come up, and go back and save him. And they don't even give Kurban that credence that he went down there to save someone. And listen to what they say here. It was determined by Paria and supported by the Coast Guard, the USH agency, and external experts that it was too dangerous for anyone to proceed further into the pipeline without posing significant risk to life. So Paria determined this, and now they call out a whole set of people, as though these people supported them in making that decision to plug the only point of entry to go and rescue the other divers. And people want to know why Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is calling for an independent investigation. People want to know why. You can imagine they're asking why it is she is saying that we have to have proper requisite expertise on that investigating team. Why it is certain people. Would you want in a situation like this, citizens, to know that the government or Paria board, whosoever it is, that they are inviting a scenario where you are inviting bias, you are inviting by putting certain persons there, you are inviting an apparent bias. Imagine you know that somebody has a link with the government minister, has a link with the board, and you are inviting that person when we are calling for this kind of transparency. Listen to Paria's statement. They are saying that when they made that decision to lock the divers down there, and so that there was no way of rescuing them after that, it was supported by the Coast Guard. Well, I want to know what the Coast Guard have to say about this. It was supported by the USH agency. Do you know that under the law, it is the USH agency who has the custody under the USH Act to secure custody of all the documents and all the evidence? So that authority who has that duty under law is the one who they are saying was part and parcel of the decision to keep those divers down there and to plug the only point of entry. And people want to ask why we are insisting on having an independent investigation. This statement really is a tragedy on its own. So they're saying the USH agency and external experts were saying it was too dangerous. I just want to go to one statement. What could have prompted Paria to put out this kind of statement when all along we were asking them to say one thing, something, anything, but they said absolutely nothing? Listen to what LMCS has said in a statement earlier today. From the time that LMCS was made aware of the loss of contact with our divers on the 25th of February 2022, our singular aim was the rescue of our employees. This is what LMCS, the immediate employer, was saying. And they proved that. They have one survivor to prove this, that they were securing the rescue of its employees. We not only, I continue to read the statement, we not only had the manpower and personnel to carry out their rescue. They proved that. They say here, we not only had the manpower and personnel to carry out their rescue, but we provided Paria with the methodology to execute the rescue. This is what LMCS is saying. At all material times we were prevented. Listen to this. LMCS is saying at all material times we were prevented. All material times mean at all important times, all the times that mattered, all those seconds that were being wasted, and Paria can't get the act together whether it's 2:30, 2:45 or in Friday night when it happened. We were prevented from executing this rescue by Paria and the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. I heard MP Inder Singh ask this in the press conference yesterday. Is it true that you all pointed your guns at persons who were trying to go back there to get these divers? We were not given the chance to save the lives of our employees. This is what the employer had to say. The effect of those decisions prevented us from attempting to rescue our employees, and those who made those decisions must be held accountable for them. and must justify those decisions, not only to the families, but to the public and to the authorities that are responsible for the enforcement of the law. So when you hear a minister making some kind of off-the-cuff statement and out-of-timing statement, well, you know, if you employ somebody to do some work for you around the house or whatever it is, who really in charge of that? So you have Paria, who conveniently being aided and abetted in trying to put the blame on LMCS, but LMCS has made their position quite clear. We are not here in the UNC about the business of supporting one or the other, you know. We want to know why the lives of 4 young men who have families to support, and they were supporting the families, they have tragically lost their lives like this.